Welcome, everybody, to the Inner Solutions live stream. My name is Jim Cipollini, your resident mental health coach for Inner Solutions. So good to see you on this beautiful Tuesday, August 10th, 2021. So good to see you. As you can see, I'm in a different location. I moved to a bigger space. There's the dog. He's right there. He's scratching the back of his ear. What a sweet guy. So we're here, as always, every Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. Central, to bring you the latest and greatest in supporting you in your mental health endeavors. Here at Inner Solutions, we create content for those who need some support in their mental health journey. Everything dealing with panic to anxiety to depression to all the symptoms that come with that. Depersonalization, derealization, avoidance, compulsions, intrusive thoughts, obsessive intrusive thoughts, and anything in between. So we welcome you here. And if you're watching live on YouTube, we welcome you too. Guys, if you don't follow our YouTube page, there is about 100 videos on everything anxiety and everything related to that. Marie, what's up? So enthusiastic right off the bat. I love it. So this is an open Q&A, meaning we are just rolling into a Q&A. Throw your questions into the chat. Let us give us a check-in with how you're doing with everything, what's going on in your life, where are you struggling, where are you thriving as far as your mental health journey. Doesn't have to be just related to panic and anxiety. It could be related to anything in that realm, in the mental health realm as well. What's up, Bonnie? How are you? Again, second week in a row you started without an emoji. Sounds like you're turning a corner, Bonnie. No, I'm totally just kidding. Yeah, so while I get this situated into YouTube and edit the title of that, the live stream is we are live there as well as always. Want to encourage you as well just to please share our page, give it a like, give it a review if there's something you love. We're always looking for testimonials. We do have spots in our class open, our class that specializes in helping people with panic and anxiety. It's an open enrollment class. Universal lessons, universal tools, talking about all different models of therapy, all different tools and techniques to deal with the short-term symptoms of panic and anxiety, and start to move yourself into that place of freedom more and more. So instead of just being, we're going to deal with the symptoms, we're going to talk about how do we get to the source? How do we really understand why you got to this place of panic and anxiety to begin with? And what do you do about it so that it never comes back ever again? 100%. Let me write this title, Live Anxiety and Mental Health Q&A. Today is 8/10/21. We will save that. Love it. Love it. What's been going on with you guys? Bonnie, how's your heart? Marie, how's your heart? How have you been doing? What's been going on? What are you working on? What are you focused on? What is next for you in your journey? Love that. What's next for you in your journey? So great. If you are watching on YouTube, just put your questions right in the chat. This week in our class, we really discuss. What's up, Kim? Hey, Janie, how are you? So good to see you guys. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. We do also feel free to share this live video in any Facebook groups or just share it. If it's going to give you value or anything. Hey, Alva, how are you? So good to see you guys. What's shaking? What's going on with you? I feel like I'm looking. So a client today told me that my camera's over here, but I keep looking down here because that's where everything is in my screen. Let me see if I can shift this over and make it a little more intentional so I don't look like I'm just looking away from you guys. I promise I'm interested in what you're saying. Beautiful, beautiful. So what are some of the themes this week with clients' work? I've had quite a few clients who kind of have gotten over that initial hump of panic and anxiety where they're feeling like they're gaining the momentum moving forward. So this week has been a little bit more like even keel, restoring the joy, feeling a little bit more like themselves, and just wanting to reaffirm in them that like the real journey to make sure this doesn't come back is that, well, let me rephrase that's really step one, getting you back to some sort of a balanced equilibrium, feeling symptom relief, feeling like you're starting to gain some ground to do things that you haven't done for a while. Maybe you're driving a little better. Maybe you don't have as much health anxiety. Maybe your depersonalization, derealization are down. Maybe you're feeling like you can speak your mind, or maybe you're just feeling like you've got the capacity to laugh again, that you feel like you're able to enjoy things more. So for me, this week has been really reinforcing in them, like, that's so great, ride the wave, but don't get complacent in doing that deeper work. Again, the anxiety being the symptom, the panic attacks being a symptom of something much deeper. Typically, always that's going to be some sort of unresolved, unprocessed emotion in you, past trauma, inability to feel safe or connected in certain situations, or habitual avoidance. Yeah. Bonnie says, I'm trying to gain control of my feelings and emotions, and thanks to you and your program explaining that feelings come and go helps. Yeah, so Bonnie, I want to kind of expand on what you're saying and apply that to thoughts. Thoughts are really the big thing that people get tripped up on, at least with clients and class members that I've seen, that I've been working with. It's particularly there tends to be a habit of, I had a thought, and maybe the thought was irrational or uncharacteristic, and feeling like it was so uncharacteristic, it was so unlike me, I need to know where this thought is from. Well, thoughts just happen. Thoughts typically are a byproduct of a lot of different combination of things in us, but we don't always really understand the mechanism of thought. We don't always understand, like, why am I having this thought? So it's really common. We've talked about intrusive thoughts on here before. It's really, really common that you may have uncharacteristic thoughts, or you may have a thought about even something as serious as suicide. There's a difference between a thought and an urge. If there's an urge, it definitely would implore you to reach out and get some support immediately. But a thought of suicide is more along the lines of a thought of wanting relief, just like a thought of running away from your family, or running away from your relationship, or leaving your job, doing something extreme to gain that relief. So where Bonnie's talking about control over feelings and emotions, she's talking about her kind of more like the cognitive cycle of thoughts, emotions, and behaviors as well, because they all work synergistically and hand in hand with one another. Bonnie, I'm so happy that what I'm talking about is giving you value here. Could you expand on that? So what particularly has been working for you? What particularly has been providing you with feeling like you're able to gain a little more ground with that? You talked about, explain that feelings come and go. Yeah, feelings come and go. External events come in through our sensory perception, and they just activate things inside of us that are kind of already there. So if we have beliefs that are already there, let's take something simple like driving, for example. Somebody zooms past you, which I know I use this example all the time. Somebody zooms past you on the highway, and you get this wave of anger, like, oh, these stupid drivers. Like, nobody can drive. Nobody knows how to drive. So that's a belief that's actually already inside of you. Nobody knows how to drive. And all that stimulus is doing is activating that belief that's already there. That's a conditioned response. You've learned that from being in dangerous situations. And so over time, maybe your mind has curbed you to protect you by being on guard in your car all the time. And so you have this belief that's rooted in that nobody knows how to drive. Driving isn't safe. It's dangerous. These people are crazy. I don't know what's going on. Yeah. Marie says, these last 2 weeks of work have been poop. I don't know how else to put it, but I'm med-free 10 days. Wow. Wild. What's been poop about work, Marie? Yeah, Woody's here. Hey, man. How's it going, bud? Just chewing on a bone like a good boy? Chewing on a bone, just sleeping all day. Wear him out in the morning. What's funny is with the dog, actually, he's a rescue. He struggles with separation anxiety and other types of anxiety. And it's actually been really translatable dealing with him and soothing his anxiety to working with clients and even working with myself with different anxieties. You realize how much panic is a conditioned response and has become the habit. I'm going to say that again. The panic and anxiety has become a conditioned response. Panic mode, panic attacks, feeling unsafe, the pattern of the cluster, breaking down the cluster of emotions that comes with it. So you have the panic, then you have the avoidance, then you have the hopelessness, then the frustration and the anger and the shame. All just one big cluster of emotion. When we differentiate it like that and we deal with it one at a time, it's actually these different modes, these different parts of you, these different emotions that you go through. And dealing with the dog has helped me see that it's security, it's trust that really becomes the key to solving that panic equation, 100%. Excuse me. Thoughts are powerful. Yeah. Well, thoughts are like rain clouds, man. Thoughts are like leaves floating in the wind. Thoughts are like leaves floating down a stream. They just happen. They come. They come in and they pass. It's our reaction to the thought is what gives it the power, or makes it become triggering, or makes it become painful or detrimental to us. So ultimately, when you practice mindfulness, you practice letting your thoughts float by, the thoughts just happen. And you don't give them too much merit. The thoughts tend to be also a symptom too. So you can redirect your mind when dealing with thoughts. That's a lot of what cognitive behavioral therapy is. It's identifying that your thoughts are not true or distorted and then redirecting them. And so, we talk about the DARE method of turning the what ifs into so whats. That's a redirection. What if? Well, so what? What if? Well, so what? It's like, this is automatic thought pattern? No. New thought pattern. There is a powerful concept called neuroplasticity that we've talked about a little bit. Neuroplasticity is, it's not even a theory. It's the concept that your brain changes form when you redirect your thoughts, when you exercise a different thought pattern than the habitual one. So for me, for example, I habitually am talking into the mic. Like, this is my automatic pattern. I don't even have to think about it. It's happening automatically. I'm kind of wiggling a little side to side, right? Like I'm moving because I'm at a standing desk now, which, by the way, it's super great, but half the time I stand like a stork with one leg up. So all these things are happening automatically. I'm not thinking about them. And anxiety is kind of the same way. What tends to happen is when the anxiety happens habitually, we move in a reactive state. And a lot of times that reaction is, I got to get rid of this. I'm like, I don't like it. I need it to go away. If we shift that reactive habitual pattern, because first it's anxiety, then it's resistance, then it can be the hopelessness or whatever. We can't necessarily stop the anxiety because there's this resistance in the way. So we deal with the more surface level secondary emotion. So let's deal with the resistance. So let go of the resistance. Okay, anxiety. Here it is. This sucks. I don't like it, but it's okay. Anxiety's happening. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the stuff that we talked about. I'm going to use my sensory soothing tools. I'm going to maybe lie down. I'm going to make myself comfortable. I'm going to let the storm pass because anxiety just happens. Once you release that resistance and it's able to come through, now instead of this stack of different resistant emotions, you've just got anxiety. And so maybe the overall stress and tension and discomfort of the event is reduced by 70%. It's incredibly significant. Incredibly significant. So we're talking about neuroplasticity. So every time, there's two key parts of neuroplasticity. Number one is kind of the brain redirection, exercising a different thought pattern. The most powerful tool you can use is doing the opposite of the urge. So for example, you're getting ready to drive, you want to just avoid it, so you go do it. And then when you really want to go back home, you go further, and you say, I'm not going back until this cools off a little bit, until I feel ready, or until I go this far, or I triple that, or whatever it may be. That's one method of shifting the thought pattern, doing the opposite. And there's a whole spectrum in there, redirecting towards this, doing cognitive behavioral therapy, thought replacement, self-coaching. The second step to neuroplasticity that the research shows is rest. So after you kind of carve these new thought patterns into your brain, these new neural pathways, you go and allow them to reinforce by getting good rest. And that's tricky for those of you with anxiety because a lot of you lose sleep. You're up at night. Sleep is quiet time. It's thinking time. You may have panic attacks in your sleep, which is very common, unfortunately. We want to make the new habit minimization. We want to make the new habit security. We want to make the new habit everything is okay. And why? Because with anxiety, that's the damn truth. Absolutely. So shift your brain. Your brain is plastic, meaning it can be molded, meaning physiologically, as you redirect, as you practice mindfulness, as you meditate, as you break the automatic pilot response of anxiety, your brain will shift its shape physically. How cool is science? He doesn't even care. He doesn't even care. I helped him shift his brain, and look at how grateful he is. Turns the other way, just chews on his bone. It's fine. Let's get to some questions here. Teo, what's up? I still have this overwhelming feeling of DPDR. I just feel like it'll never end. So, Latea, the DPDR sensation, if it's related to anxiety, which it almost always is, but not always, I would truly start to do some dietary changes. And I would also look into getting with a nutritionist, and there's some tests you can take. Sometimes the brain fog or the feeling of like disconnect from yourself or reality actually is like a deep brain fog. It could be caused by something like spikes in blood sugar or inflammation as well. So I would encourage you, there's a few tests you can take online where they'll send you a test. I think it's like $270, some of the ones I looked at. They'll tell you what foods are going to cause inflammation for you. And that may be a route to start to explore as well. Because truthfully, even if it has a little bit of a placebo effect, if you are in an anxious state, that placebo effect is very, very real. So you'll have a somatic response that will lower your anxiety, even if you're just thinking you're doing the right thing. So to me, it's kind of a win-win. More and more we're finding like related to gut health, related to diet, related to exercise, that brain fog, that disconnect can be directly correlated with that. That's kind of some of the latest research that we checked out actually today and yesterday. Still developing a more intentional program to implement and integrate that research into our plan and our like panic response playbook and our content. But I would talk to a nutritionist who specializes with anxiety. And I can recommend, I was going to recommend Kelly Brogan. She's an author and an MD who wrote a book, but that's mostly on depression in women related to diet. I would just do a little bit of research on your own, Latea, but that may be a route that you want to explore if some of the stuff we're talking about here isn't having enough of an effect for you. Definitely something to explore and kind of fresh off the presses with some of the research that we've done the last couple days. So very, very, very fresh. So fresh. So fresh. Marie says, having to run a bank with 2 people for 2 weeks and throw in a robbery. Why don't we? Well, how are you feeling about it, Marie? Sounds like that's probably a lot of work. Sometimes people like the stimulation. What in the world? Sometimes people like the stimulation or the pressure of like a really seemingly tough situation like that. It's like we got to put our game face on. Our focus is here. We don't have time for thinking. It's like go, 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 hustle, 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 hustle. And sometimes that can be refreshing. You know, early in our course, we had a lesson on pressure and how people would use pressure because it's a stimulant. It's very similar and can have a same reaction as a stimulant drug, as a nicotine or caffeine or a methamphetamine. And the reason is, when you put yourself under pressure, you lose the emotional nature or the anxiety of procrastination because the anxiety of, holy shit, I got to get this done, overrides that. And so a lot of times that can become the new habit. And so people will be like, I don't know why I can't just plan stuff. I don't know why I can't just like have an outline, have a timeline, follow it. And it's like, well, it's because you're going against a heavy stimulant like pressure. And pressure's a hell of a drug. It's a stimulant. It's a hell of a drug. So sometimes with a situation like that, Marie, I'm not saying this is what you're saying, but what I'm saying is that can be very, very real. That's something that people like. They like to feel that clarity or that kind of pressure. Like, oh, I don't have time to think. I just got to go, 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 go. I love it. Bonnie says, I've dealt with depression all my life and much loss these past 2 years. I've tried all different types of methods to break this cycle. Some help, some not so much, but I'm still trying and so grateful for coming across your program to further my recovery. And yes, suicide passes through lots of times. So guys, suicide, trigger warning, if that's something you're not comfortable listening about, maybe take a little bit of break from the stream and come on back. Hey, bud. Like I had a really, really powerful session with a client today. We talked on this stream about the difference between protective parts of us and exiled parts of us. Exiled parts being parts of us that are stuck in a pain, in a trauma, in shame, in an emotion that we don't want to feel, and protective parts whose job is to help us not feel that way. So exiled emotions include shame, vulnerability, fear, isolation, loneliness, rejection, incompetence, disconnect. And then protective parts a lot of times are things like anger to protect us from feeling vulnerable, addiction to help us from feeling lonely or disconnected, avoidance to feel to help us from feeling like we're overwhelmed or can't handle a situation, that it's just going to be too much for us to cope or deal with. So when you break it down like that, you think about depression. Depression goes in both ends of the spectrum, where number one, depression can be rooted in self-blame. And so sometimes when you're depressed, like she said, Jim Carrey described depression as a time for deep rest. It is, because your body needs it. But a lot of times the depression can be a protective part that's saying, hey, just shut down. Stop trying. Because every time you try, you feel hurt, you feel abandoned, you feel rejected, things don't go your way. You end up criticizing yourself and beating the hell out of yourself. And when you look at depression as a survival mechanism for your body, it reframes it as this sucks into, wow, my body's like, my habit now is to shut down and feel a depression because it's trying to protect me from feeling more pain. It's a very, very different framing and experience of the sadness or depression. So we need to think about this when we have these seemingly destructive or self-sabotaging parts of us. Procrastination can be a protector, right? If I go into the thing that I'm supposed to be doing, it'll be too painful. It seems overwhelming. I can't handle it. I'll do a crappy job. So if I procrastinate, I could do something that I'll feel better doing rather than risking feeling one of those crappy feelings. Incredibly powerful. So look at yourself and look at these different subpersonalities and parts of you with a lot of curiosity, with a lot of openness. Why are they doing what they're doing? There are no bad parts of people when you look at them through that framework. There's just parts that are protecting you. And typically these protective parts, how incredibly polarized or intense they are is relative to how sensitive or raw the deeper exiled feeling that you don't want to feel is, or the potential for how painful it could be. First time I saw you speak and tell your personal experience, I was like, yeah, this guy knows his stuff. Thanks, Bonnie. Smiley face thumbs up. I'll give you a smiley face thumbs up right back. Smiley face thumbs up right back. Yeah. Jim Carrey described depression as first time for deep rest. I like when you recommend self-help books. There's a lot of self-help books. Latte says, thank you. I will look into that. Yeah, look into the, learning about inflammation. What could be causing it for you? Definitely. It can be super helpful. I think I missed some comments. What's up, Amanda? What's up? What's up, Alva? I think I said what's up to you. Yeah, absolutely. I made it and I'm fine and I'm proud of me. Could not have done this a few months ago, Bonnie. Yep, yes. Bonnie just keeps saying yes, yeah. I mean, it's like I said, I had a really powerful session with a client today where we did some parts work. And man, I mean, for her, it was so vivid. These parts she was familiar with, but when she observed them instead of being absorbed by them, and that she needed to be in a guided setting, it was just so, these were parts that were so close to her for so long that it became really illuminating for her. And she was so familiar with them. And when this one part in particular, she observed it and got kind of unblended from it, the byproduct of that was this release of pressure, like, wow. And it's so heavy and beautiful and powerful, man. So heavy, beautiful, and powerful. So great. Absolutely wonderful. I would like to read a testimonial, anonymous testimonial, from one of our class members. If you are needing support and thinking about joining our class. So this class member said, yep, the classes for me have been heaven sent. I felt like I was able to get some control back by learning about the feedback loop. Granted, my therapist has told me about this, but I was never able to grasp it. The way you guys give the information made it click for me in my brain. I truly find it helpful to be able to ask questions and get honest feedback about what I am going through. I think what you guys are doing is life-changing and amazing. Thank you for all your help this far. Yeah. So that was a really cool testimonial we got about our class today. If you are interested in hearing more about the class or joining, you can shoot us a message on Facebook, or you can just post in the chat here. I'm interested. I'd like to hear more. Anything along those lines. Absolutely. Just reading off the phone. Yeah, so I mean, this is the most enjoyable moving experience I've had. Yeah. You know, when it comes to those like cycles and clusters of emotions, I kind of noticed a pattern in me over the weekend, and I want to go on a little bit of a rant about the usefulness of journaling and being able to have that reflection time. So without that time, I wouldn't have observed. God, the dog's right behind me. I almost just stepped on him. I wouldn't have been able to observe and break down and reflect upon what my habit was. And so I want to challenge you to think about, what is your habit with anxiety? What is the sequence of emotions that happens? For me, it was anxiety, shame, frustration, sadness, depression, unhealthy coping, and then it was, you got to get out of this. You got to snap yourself out. And going through that process was so powerful and so enlightening for me. And it continues to be, with this foundation of tools that I use, with this foundation of mindfulness, and in conjunction with these emotional processing tools like meditation, journaling, talking things out. For me, it's like doing live streams like this, just really getting engaged with that and practicing those regularly so that the muscles are strong. It's no different than working out. You know, you have to maintain your state of physical health, and you can always be pushing yourself to be a little healthier, a little stronger, a little faster, a little better with your cardio. And just like the same, you can always be extending your mindfulness meditation. You can always be integrating it into your daily activities, right? Slowing down. When it's time to wash the rice, you wash the rice. When it's time to wash the plate, you wash the plate. When it's time to play with the dog, you play with the dog. When it's time to help your son with his homework, you are really helping your son with his homework. You're there as much as possible. And when we, talking about presence, like being present, being in the moment. When you're truly in the moment, you're not thinking about the future. You're not pondering in the past. You're just here. And so there is no future. There is no past. With that level of presence, it disarms anxiety, worry about the future. It disarms depression, the negative reflection of what's happened in the past. And you allow yourself to deepen your connection with your external, internal, and sensory experience in such a way that it's so powerful. So again, I want to challenge you. What is your sequence? What is your emotional sequence? Is it fear, sadness? Fear, one of the most common ones that we see is fear, resistance, frustration, overwhelm, hopelessness. Fear, resistance, frustration, overwhelm, hopelessness. So fear, something gets triggered like a panic attack, okay? Right? Something like a panic attack gets triggered. I am sorry, I get distracted. The comment's working. Oh, maybe you guys just don't have anything to say. That's fine. Can somebody test one? Just pop a comment in there so I make sure that they're still working. Otherwise, I'll refresh the page. So fear, like something happens, is a triggering event. You feel scared. Maybe there's a dentist appointment I have to drive. The second one being resistance. I don't want to feel this anxiety. I don't want to feel this fear. I don't want to feel this frustration. The next one, frustration. Right? I can't change this. It's not working. Why isn't this working? What's going on? Like, why can't I make this change? Why can't I make this shift? Why can't I snap myself out of this? Fear. What's up, Opal? How are you? Good to see you. Fear, resistance. Thank you guys for the comments. That's super helpful. Okay, everything's working. I wasn't sure if you guys are just being quiet or if something was broken. Fear, resistance, frustration that the attempt to get rid of the anxiety doesn't work. Overwhelm. So now it's like we stacked these 3 or 4, so we're starting to feel overwhelmed. Hopelessness and depression shuts down. Yeah, so if I gave you a look into my morning routine, it's the same every morning. I know because I do a live stream with it every day. It starts with an emotional check-in. Hey. No. Starts with an emotional check-in. So how am I feeling? I'm feeling a little anxious that the dog's going to rip up his new bed. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling peaceful. A little bit of anxiety. And then I try to expand on why. Why do I feel those things? And so that's the first thing I do is do an emotional check-in. And I like to do this with other people. It's like, how are you feeling? How's your heart? That's the question. How's your heart today? Okay. So then it's 10 minutes of meditation. And the meditation is kind of, what do I feel like I need today? Do I need a meditation on letting go? Do I need a meditation on mindfulness? Do I need to do some breathing exercises? Do I want a meditation on cultivating joy or acceptance, or a meditation to build up my self-esteem? Whatever the kind of meditation of the day is. And I like to use like stuff from Calm, stuff from Headspace, and there's a few different YouTube channels that are really great for that. So those are guided meditations. I like to do guided in the morning. But you can do unguided, just sitting, listening, being with your thoughts, observing them. Then it's 10 minutes of journaling. So I actually set a timer and I journal. And the journal is, for me, it's no prompt, but you can use a prompt. You could look up journal prompting. For me, it's more about, I want to explore a situation going on a little deeper, or I just want to reflect on how things are going. Like, where am I? What should I be working on? Today I journaled about all the things I'm trying to juggle, and just like, wow, if I'm really going to take these on, I either got to let some of these things go, or I really got to engage with them and become more efficient. After that, it's daily affirmations. So I have a list of like 10 daily affirmations. They're constantly changing and evolving. What affirmations are intentions that you're setting, things you're trying to remind yourself. It's more like a prophylactic in that it's preventative of getting to an anxious state. So for me, I feel like I'm on the offensive if I'm telling myself I'm present and calm. I am present and calm. I know that there's presence and calmness inside of me, and so I'm kind of bringing that more and more to the surface as I say it, as I reflect on it. I am present and calm. Yeah. So after daily affirmations, I might say something like, I'm loved, or there's plenty of love to go around, or, it's not my job to solve people's problems, whatever the affirmation may be that I need to hear. And again, they're always evolving week to week, or a couple, might keep them for 2 weeks and then move on or change this one here and there, but always evolving. And I'll add special ones that day. So for example, if I'm having a problem in my relationship, I may say, it's not my job to solve my partner's problems. Or I may say, I am loved even when my partner's angry with me, just to reaffirm all these things that maybe I feel like need to be reaffirmed in me. This way, again, I'm on the offensive. I'm not being reactive, I'm being proactive. Even if it's not necessarily a big issue or even much of an issue, if I feel like there's even an inkling that this may affect me in some way, heck yeah. So after that, it's visualization. Now, visualization is an incredibly powerful tool. Visualization, your mind doesn't even know the difference between reality and visualization half the time if you hone in and do it right. So if I close my eyes, I may visualize anything from feeling like my financial situation's better to visualizing myself in a calm, confident, curious, connected, courageous state, to visualizing like a job promotion, or visualizing like having a big huge audience in the live stream. And there's a lot of kind of woo-woo or spiritual beliefs that come with that I don't need to really get into that kind of stuff. But psychologically, it's a way of opening up your subconscious to open up and prevent self-sabotage, making sure you're open to accepting great things, making sure it's almost like you're teaching your body how to feel ahead of the event so that it knows it can feel something good. It's like you're opening up that pathway in your brain. So visualization is an incredible tool. And then, of course, last but not least, it's a gratitude practice. So I will do something like say, I'm so grateful for all you guys that are here. This is incredibly powerful. I'm so grateful for my dog and that he's healthy. I'm so grateful for this beautiful house. I'm grateful for my girlfriend. I'm grateful for, my brothers and my mother, and just this practice of gratitude. Hey, Wendy, how are you? And yeah, it's just incredible. So, we talked at the beginning about this week. The theme was I had at least in the class and clients, had a lot of people starting to feel better, which was awesome. And just trying to reinforce in them like, hey, I ride the wave, definitely, but continue the work always. Yeah, always continue the work, continue the maintenance, continue there's a difference between getting yourself to a good place and maintaining that good place. And a lot of the fundamentals are the same. So listening to your body, listening to your thoughts. And by listening, I don't mean absorbing, I mean observing and using the context clues as like, oh, wow, something's going on. Hey, Anisha, how are you? How's your heart today? Wendy, how's your heart too? So good to see you guys. But that maintenance phase is so important. And, having the support kind of on call when something comes up, even if it's small, we go into that offensive, proactive mode instead of continuing the old habits, which, again, sometimes we've been doing things for 20, 30, 40 years that unlearning them takes a hell of a lot of reinforcement, and that's tricky. So being proactive in that way is incredibly powerful. Absolutely. Oh, and staying hydrated is incredibly important. Absolutely. So what's going on? Oh, YouTube, I see our friend Bolt says, "Go, Jim." What's up, Bolt? My good buddy. My good buddy. Cool, man. Well, I think that's, if there's no more questions, let's cut it. I'm so grateful for you guys. Thank you so much for your support. Again, want to encourage you, just come to these streams and bring your questions, bring your thoughts, anything that's on your mind. If you have feedback you want to give us, you can put it in the chat here, or you can private message us if it's feedback you think that might hurt my feelings. But we're always welcoming constructive criticism, or, hey, this was really working for me. Can you talk about this? Or if you have questions you want covered, specific topics, you can put it in the chat here. Private message us if you want to keep it private and anonymous. We will not, if you say, hey, can you keep this anonymous? We will not, announce who asked the question, of course. And of course, as always, if you're looking for more support, you can message us here on Facebook. You can email me, jim@innersolutions.academy. If you're looking for one-on-one coaching to join our class, or if there's video topics you want made for YouTube. Cool, guys. Yeah. So before I go, as always, remember, no matter how long you've been struggling, no matter how intense it is, no matter how hopeless or depressed you feel, I promise you, you're never, ever stuck. You might just need some support. I'm Jim Cipollini, guys. Thank you so much for Inner Solutions. Lots of love and good mental health. Peace, everybody.